Hey, do you have the live reaction to the ban announcement?
You did. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
Hey, welcome back. We are the Splinter Twins. I'm Kyle, that's Mark, and that's Wizards of the Coast wielded the ban hammer on this day of 2025, 30 July. Mark, they went hard.
My hands are tired. My wrists are tired from the hammering, Kyle. They hammered them so good. We're going to talk about big picture stuff, but just real quick off the top, let's go through each of the individual 7 bans and talk about why we think they banned it. Was it a good ban, right? These individual line by lines. They'll end with some big thoughts on the first picture. And so we got Corey Steelcutter, banned. Abuelo's Awakening, adios muchacho, banned. Monstrous Rage, get your roided ass out of here. Heartfire Hero, more like Heartfire, Fartfire Zero.
Fartfire Zero?
Fucking got him. Up the Beanstalk, more like Down the Beanstalk. Hopeless Nightmare, more like let's have a hopeful dream, because I don't have to play that damn card anymore. And this town, in fact, is big enough for us, because that one's gone too. 7 bans, all gone as of 2 p.m. today, Central Time. It feels good.
Let's start with Corey Steelcutter. And for each one of these, I do want to get your thoughts about, 1, are you surprised? And 2, do you think it was a good ban? And I'll just start with, I'm surprised. I spent Magic Con here in Vegas telling people, like, look, dude, I want Corey gone. I knew from the moment I saw that card, I'm like, hey, if this card pops off, it's going to be disgusting. And pop off it did, beyond even my expectations. I think it was like my 4th best card in the set. Turns out it was, it was number 5. Turns out it was the best cards in mini sets. And the reason why I'm surprised by it is because it is so new and because it's a rare. We've seen Wizards sort of let things like this go in the past because, like, oh, it's only been out for 1 set. The meta hasn't adjusted. We had ourselves basically Hogak situation at the Pro Tour with 42% of the meta playing Corey Steelcutter, and it is the Corey Steelcutter deck. Is it a deck? And Jesus almighty, it was a problem, a PR problem for Wizards of the Coast.
It just is. It's too much. It's too powerful. It does everything. It's really hard. I am surprised it got banned. I think it was the right thing to do. This was a good ban because, like you said, it's just so dominant. It's so oppressive, and with obviously much made about temporary lockdown leaving the format, so unanswerable. Right? You're just getting gacked. The one thing I will say about this deck that I really do appreciate, the announcements for the bans came out today at like 10 a.m. my time, Central Time, and they didn't go actual banned on Arena until 2 p.m. So I had a little lunch break. So I crafted up the Corey Steelcutter deck. I think it was like Baker's deck, and just ran it. It's a difficult deck to pilot. You know, there's a lot of sequencing you have to do the right way. So, like, by no means is this a brain dead aggro deck. I'm kind of sad that a real thinking man's aggro deck is leaving the format here. That's kind of a bummer. But there's no doubt this card is not getting stopped anytime soon. It would just be oppressive. It would just continue. They had to rip this off. They had to get rid of it.
And I feel like it was just going to get worse. It's not like they're not going to not print cantrips. And yeah, even at the Pro Tour, there were people, when you talk about format warping, the last point I'll make about Corey Steelcutter is, like, it didn't have the highest win percentage. Obviously, 4 of the top 8 were Izzet. I mean, the other 4 were mono red. We're going to talk about that in a second. And mono red ended up taking it down. But the pros decided this was the best deck. And I don't think there's an argument to be had about that. They saw this deck and they knew, 42% of them, that this is what they wanted to bring. And people were main boarding hate against this deck because they saw it coming. I'm talking like high noons. I'm talking duresses in the main board just for this. And that is, I think, the bridge too far for what got it banned. Because
Blizzards
when you start
in mono red,
when you start main boarding tech in for one deck, like, adios, gotta go.
Yeah. The other thing about this one that's kind of annoying is people were talking about how it didn't have the highest win rate at the Pro Tour, but it can't. When it is almost half the field, it can't have a 70% win rate because every time they're paired up against each other, that's a guaranteed loss for the deck. So the fact that it got 48% win rate is not surprising. I think that's a real misread.
48%? I thought it was like 40
Something like that. Yeah, on the whole tournament. I think the fact that it's took half of the top 8, that's not a fluke, right? This deck is stupid powerful.
Speaking of a large share of the meta and pre-hate against it, I'm talking about Abuelo's Awakening. And don't be fooled, this is the nerfing of the Omni deck. This deck is oppressive. I've played against it 1,000 times, it feels like, on the ladder, and I've played against it a lot in paper, and it sucks to play against. There's no other way to put it. Even when you win, you don't feel good.
And we're going to talk a lot about this, but I'm not surprised they banned it, because this combo with Omniscience was bad. But don't think we're out of the woods here yet, right? I know the common thing is you don't ban the enabler, you ban the thing that's the problem. Omniscience will come back as they continue to just make this bloated standard with all these things. We're already seeing some disgusting stuff with Zombify. We'll talk about that later. But Abuela's Awakening was really difficult just because specifically Omniscience, right? If you were to get a lot of other powerful things like, I don't know, Reckless Bombardment or Wilderness Reclamation or some of these other powerful enchantments, right? You can kill them and the value stops. But once Omniscience is on the table, the damage is kind of done. Or even if you have the cut down, they're getting something for free, and it could very well be a follow-up Omniscience, and you're just kind of boned. So that is not a fun play pattern. Additionally, one of the things that really sucks about this deck is people just sitting there playing Yu-Gi-Oh! By themselves while you wait to see if they got it. It's just a degenerate way to play Magic. I'm glad it's broken up, and I hope it stays that way for a long time.
I am kind of sad that Abuelo caught the stray for the sins of Omni, because it was fun. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff to reanimate, and Abuelo's Awakening is a really unique card that we don't get to see a lot. And I agree with you. I think people are going to try to reanimate Omni, and I don't think the day is done. Looking at the other methods, if you had to pick an enabler, Abuelo's is the key one to do. Like, Yuna has to come down on 5 mana, which is already good. And then if you kill Yuna before instep, no reanimation happens. If Abuelo's resolves, Omni is hitting the table. And then you can even have removal in your hand. But they might have, counter spells, they might have card draw, and anything they have at instant speed. Actually, in one of the games I played over the weekend, one of the standard games, I actually was successful in removing an Omni from the battlefield with removal, but then the next turn they just reanimated again. So, I mean,
it's sad to see Abuelos go, but it was time. It's 4 mana, and it can just do kind of everything. So we'll see. How long do you think it's going to take for this to get fixed? I'd say a couple of sets. We'll have Omni back to be a problem, but reprieve for now.
Mark, do you like blocking?
I do enjoy a block.
Do you remember
what
that is? It's not like, we're not talking about like
I don't know how to do it, Kyle.
This isn't some ancient mechanic from the archaic days of Tempest or whatever. This is a thing that used to happen in Magic the Gathering, but because of Monstrous Rage, we just stopped doing it if the opponent was playing Mountains at all. And this card, it never seemed beforehand. And maybe if it wasn't for the mice, it never would have become just disgusting. But, man, even back before the mice, when people are putting this on a Swift Spear, it felt gross. And the mice package with the, the heroic triggers, it just got to be, there's no other way for it. There's no other word for it. Oppressive.
It's the best pump spell ever printed. I think that's pretty clear, because it gives you the pump when you need it, but it also has the enduring value. To have +1/+1 and trample just stick around, it should be it's three things. It's +1/+1, it's +2/+0, and it's trample, and 2 of those things stay. How did this card make it out of testing? Honestly, this card should never have been printed, and not only is it too powerful, like you said, it just made playing not fun. And it really sucked because of the way the format had to warp around this, essentially because blocking was invalidated. Everyone just had to pack 1,000,000 removal spells in their deck, even in best of 3. One of the big things people were like, oh, best of 3 is real Magic. And nope, turns out Gruul Mice and Mono Red and a bunch of other shit that played this card just packed them in. And if you didn't come just loaded down with single target removal, the only real answer, you're going to get blown out of the water by this card.
Mm-hmm.
And even then,
And
you
if
still
you-
got blown out
And
of
if
the
you,
water
yeah, I
by
was gonna
this
say, if you
card.
top deck that removal, too bad. The mouse is a 5/5, and now you're gonna die even for killing it. Like
That's
it's just
also a problem.
yeah. We'll talk. Actually, let's just bring in Heartfire Hero now because these
Mono
guys
red corner of
yeah,
suck ass. We'll bring them together.
they go hand in hand. So Mono Red ended up taking the tournament down. I don't think a massive surprise. The point is this card it warps the format, both Heartfire Hero and Monstrous Rage, in a direction that is so efficient and so fast that not only does it change the deck lists that are the lists of decks that you want to play, it just straight up makes some decks not an option in competitive play.
To go back to your original conceit, I think we're not surprised and hooray for all the above three. This one was a surprise. I think
Really?
this has got a lot
Wait,
of
Heartfire
people
Hero?
It being banned, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Monstrous Rage, though, obviously.
No,
That's
that
the
was
one
the
card
guarantee.
everybody
because
was
everyone's
sure.
screaming about that. But honestly, I think Heartfire Hero is more of a problem than Monstrous Rage ever was. This one's got me so happy because this one is just you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Once they pump this mouse, unless you're specifically packing Exile, you're probably going to get screwed, and you might get screwed on a Callous Sellsword. This card was so not fun to play against. It really just messed you up. It was so easy to go off with Manifold Mouse, so easy to go off with Pump Spells. I mean, the fact that this package of cards just sort of put a card like Slick Shot Show Off on the backbench, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And I've been playing today, and I've seen a lot more Slick Shots trying to fill that void, and I'm glad at least we're resorting to something that's not this stupid little mouse. I'm sick of looking at it. I'm really happy that Mono Red took it in the teeth with these two bans. Come at me. I'll give it up to Corey Steelcutter. That's a smart man's aggro deck. This deck was dumb as shit, and I hated playing against it, and it was brain dead magic. And in a bloated standard where you have 3 years of cards, I'm afraid that the reason why this finale event happened, why faff around with turn 5 wins when you could have turn 3 wins? If the cards are that good, right, you're just going to get more and more efficient. And the thing that your powerful counter spells can't give you is turns, on turn 4. So like, I'm glad they banned it, but we're gonna need to maybe see some more of that.
Okay, getting into the back half of the sort of that was all bans targeted towards the 2 decks of the top 8 in the Pro Tour. But now the sort of debate, the scuttlebutt, if you will, around the Pro Tour and around MagicCon Vegas was, oh, well, if you ban Monstrous Rage, we were just talking Omni, we weren't even talking Abuelo, but that just means Beans is just going to dominate. And Overlords is going to come back, and no decks are going to have a chance because that deck is so oppressive and so value-oriented. Mark, they banned the Beanstalk!
I know. I am actually really surprised by this one.
Oh, sorry, and we talked about
Abuelos
too. Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't think they would do this one, just because it's out of sight, out of mind. But I do think all 3 of these bands that we're talking about here in the back half are really prescient and actually give me a lot of hope for Standard. Like, with Magic, something is going to get cracked. Like, we're going to solve Standard, and we're going to get there again, like, probably in a week. And it might be bad, or it might be good. Like, we'll see. But this gives it some longevity, that people don't just retreat right back to the thing they had before. And honestly, Up the Beanstalk is a limited card that never should have been in Standard. Again, this is just, it's silly. It cantrips. It makes all these crazy spells that you were going to play anyway. The Overlords, the Rides End, all this stuff. Just lets you go forever, right? It kind of feels like that degenerate Omni play where you're just like, blah, 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 blah. I'm just vomiting all my cards. And it kind of was this mid-range value-oriented pile that you could just never run out of cards. And I'm honestly glad it's gone.
In some ways, I almost preferred the Omni deck, because once you lost, you just kind of lost.
That's
for
true.
the most part. The game was about Omni. Like, when Beans is on the table, it's like, I'm going to lose, because they're over the course of the next 7 turns, they're going to be up 5 cards. It's just going to take me 10 turns to lose.
Yeah,
and that is just, like, how many times? Okay, you're on the play, you drop a land for second turn, and they untap, they drop a second land, and then you go Beans, and you're holding a Get Lost. And that is a cantrip enchantment, and the play probably is to kill that goddamn enchantment.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is
a 2-mana enchantment.
that thing is never going to threaten your life total, but the play is to probably kill that thing and just
give them value.
Yeah, you're going to
Edit.
2-for-1 yourself because they already got their card back and they're going to get the map tokens for whatever, fourth of a card or whatever that's worth. But yeah, you're just going to you're going to tap out and you're going to go down because you just can't let them have that over the course of the game. It's just gross, man.
It is. I'm glad it's gone. I think it's really a really good call. I would color me surprised on this one.
Even more surprising, Mark, because we went back again to what used to dominate before Overlords, back to the old bouncy bounce deck, and that deck was powered by a little spell called Hopeless Nightmare. And this card, totally fair Magic card, unless you bounce it and play it multiple times. And boy, did we figure out a bunch of ways to do that. Whether it was Esper, Orzhov, or Dimir, the deck rotated around this card. And this card, I'm sure everybody watching this has played against the self-bounce deck, but just the things that this card does for 1 mana. Makes your opponent discard a card, like you get a sack/scry target, and it burns them for 2. It does so much for 1 mana, and the ability to replay it over and over again, oh my god.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, this card was a really powerful card, so unassuming but so powerful. It would just blow your hand apart. If you were trying to do any kind of mid-range thing, forget about it. Going up against this deck, you just were never... You're going to drop lands, you're going to drop the things you're going to spend the lands on, right? Like, this is going to happen. And it's not just that they did it, it's that they did it on turn 1 and turn 3 and then turn 4 and then turn... Right? Then just... you look up and you're like 12 life and 1 card in your hand. You're like, holy shit, what happened to me?
If this card was never allowed to, if once it hit the battlefield, it had to stay there or you lose the game or whatever, this card would be a totally fair and fun sack deck. This would be a Rattlesnake card or something to enable your Vayne's Treachery or Vayne's Betrayal or whatever. That's fine. That's fair. The bouncing is what just made it disgusting to play against.
I believe you have to sack a creature for Veins, just so you know.
I think you could sacrifice an artifact.
Look it up. Sacrifice an artifact or creature.
Yeah. Sorry.
I am technically correct. The best kind of correct. I think this was smart, again, for the same reason Beans, right? Don't let people go back to their safe space. Make them make new decks.
And then the last card on the list, this card, never in my wildest dreams. I like to think I'm pretty good at predicting some of the best cards. This card was one of the best cards in Standards for Standard for quite a while. This town ain't big enough, and I was like, this is a limited card. It doesn't do anything. It's some ETB value, and oh my god damn, when this town ain't big enough, they're Nowhere to Run or they're Hopeless Nightmare, and they put your 4-drop back in your hand, you just scoop them up. You're just done.
Yeah. Oh, the tempo. The nasty tempo. I don't think... What's interesting about this card being banned is it first came on the radar with the Hopeless Nightmare deck. I'm not really seeing a lot of this card, right? It's occasionally sometimes played alongside Storm Chaser's Talents in a Corey Steelcutter deck. Again, people still trying to make Hopeless Nightmare work, but what did Wizards see that made them think they needed to get rid of this card after they get rid of the Corey Steelcutter, after they get rid of the Hopeless Nightmare? I'm surprised. Is there something coming out in, Eternities or whatever that makes them think, oh dear, we really want to make sure that the self-bounce deck is in the ground? Because this firmly puts that deck in the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Orzhov version not having Hopeless Nightmare anymore. These cards are definitely linked together, even though they're not always played in the same one. But I think they just looked at the meta and they were like, well, now it's just mono red versus Cutter, right? And it used to be Overlords and Bounce. And if you kill the first 3, that I think they thought that it would just leave Bounce on this unassailable pinnacle, and everybody would be so mad at these bans they wouldn't want to play it anymore. So you just take all of it and you nerf the shit out of all of it and you see what happens. The other thing, too, with a lot of these cards, out of the 7, only 2 are rares. 5 of them are uncommons.
Huge.
People, whether it be... it's not really a concern that much in Arena because you get your wild cards back. But in Paper, Like, yeah, I know there are some uncommons that are pricey, but that feels a shitload better than your $80 Sheoldred getting banned. Like, I paid $3 for this
Yes.
uncommon. Yeah, well, that sucks, but it was, $12 for the playset, as opposed to my playset of, $30 Overlords
Elspeth.
of the Baelmerk that I just bought.
Well, I mean, there's always the argument like, oh well, I kind of built the whole deck around up the beanstalk and it doesn't work as good no more. So now I got all these overlords. But there's something has to give,
Get
and
you
this
some
is like
Unis.
get you some Unis and see what happens. You never know. Give it a week. This is a way cleaner way to do it, and it really does make the sting a lot less painful when it is these uncommons. I think you're absolutely right about that. I am really excited. I played a bunch of standard today, and what are you seeing right now in terms of like any ideas for what's going to rise up and take the cake? I know I've got a
Yeah,
big contender.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be Reanimator. I think we've got a legitimate
Yeah,
problem.
we
I was
might.
playing all weekend at the Magic Con. I was playing Jumbo Cactuar, which is our next standard video coming out. I built that on paper, and I mean, the first day, like, I was just Cactuaring fools left, right, and center. 6-2 in my eight round thing. I did the CGB best of one thing, and the two I lost was because people were packing goddamn graveyard strays for Omni, and they caught my Arden when they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been teching against me. I'm just over
It's
here trying to
wrong.
peacefully reanimate stuff. Now
Just try to chilly give people 10,000 damage.
there's
Don't mind me.
two components or three components of it really. It's you have enough turns because the aggro decks are nerfed. That was
Yeah.
huge, right? Thing number two is people aren't packing as much graveyard hate because they're not teching against Omni. And three, you know what really sucks, like really bad in Reanimator? Getting that giant creature bounce back to your hand after you go through all that work of putting it in the graveyard. And there are plenty of reanimation targets that give you battle when they ETB, but there are other ones that is like very manageable if you bounce it back to the opponent's hand, and now you have to find a whole new way to discard and a whole new way to reanimate. And yeah, all of those things being over here in the corner makes Reanimator very possible now.
Yeah, I'm specifically thinking Zombify. We go back to that 4 mana being a problem. It's a problem. I've been getting my ass handed to me, trying to make this big red deck work where people are just turn 4 Galta, turn 4 Valgavoth. Like you start thinking about all the crazy shit you can reanimate. That like one of the things that's interesting about Arden is there's a window, right, where you can answer it. There's a lot of cards, there is no window, right? You're just kind of cooked as soon as they hit the battlefield, and Zombify is a problem. I suspect it will continue to be a top tier deck. I think what's actually going to happen in response to that is people are going to start packing more counter magic. I think it's time for some Azorius control. I really think sweepers and control and value and card draw is about to make a major comeback. There's still aggro cards out there. Don't get me wrong. Slick shot, can come pump
Mono red
spells
will
aplenty.
still be a good deck.
I
Like
think
it
so.
will
Yeah.
100%. You are still going to play a shitload of mono red on the ladder. You're still going to see it all the time. They're going to swap out lizards for their mice, and they're going to swap in turn inside outs or Dreadmaul's ire or whatever, and they're going to be
Felonious
fine.
Rage.
They're going to be fine. You're still going to see it. We're always going to see mono red on the ladder. But yeah, I think we're staring down the barrel of Reanimator and Control.
I really do. Yeah, I think it's Reanimator and then Control Response to rise up to meet that. So we'll see if there's some brew out there. I've seen some people do some nasty stuff with Agatha Soul Cauldron combo stuff. That was painful watching someone just sit there and like dirtle all day. I missed a freaking Torch the Tower and just had to suffer. That was not fun. But it's been really interesting playing like, nominally, yes, Reanimator, but also dinosaurs. Like, that's pretty cool. See people try to pop off with that. Yeah. I made Big Red happen a little bit. I think, with these bans, Standard's kind of wide open right now.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Actually, this is my favorite decision Wizards of the Coast has made in
Ever?
years. It's been a long
Maybe.
time. It's been a long time.
Maybe.
And you know what? Like, they could be wrong, and I could be wrong for saying it's good. we're not going to know until the meta settles. And, I'm sure there's still going to be some complaints, and it's not going to be, magical Christmas land meta or whatever. But I do think doing nothing would have been worse. At least it will be new.
What was up with people having full freaking panic attacks? And I think it was like CGB and Dev and all these other people were like, they're not going to ban anything. It's like, there's no world where that was going to happen.
Oh, dude,
I know, obviously it's hindsight.
I thought I agreed with them. I told her a room full of people were yelling at CGB, not yelling, but having a spirited debate that he was crazy for saying that he thought there was a better than 50% chance or whatever that they would ban nothing. And I was like, he's right. Like, Wizards has shown us time and time again that they'll just be like, meh, with standard.
Yeah,
and
I get that. This was never not going to happen. I think at least Monstrous Rage was always going to be, if for nothing else, even if they really didn't want to, they knew they had to give him something. There was just it would have been. Yeah,
I feel that.
I don't give Wizards a lot of credit.
We've said that for years, and then been like, "Wow, they didn't ban anything, huh? Wow, that's crazy."
This was the most obvious ban maybe since Oka.
Nadu, excuse me.
Maybe actually more Nadu, but that's like modern bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not real Magic.
The most obvious ban in the
Said it.
history of Magic the Gathering was Nadu. Not even Hogak. It was a Nadu.
It probably was Nadu. Nadu was a clear mistake. It was an oopsie doopsie. That card should not exist.
Oopsie doopsie. I feel poopsie.
Like
Oh shit, dude, that commander bird? Oh no! Oh no, we gotta stop letting the interns make cards.
What number did I put on that card?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
That's not good. The problems with this, I think, are actually a little bit deeper. I think the reason why they didn't ban Omni is because it has a little star on it. I'm thinking they're really not wanting to ban Foundation cards.
I agreed. But they shouldn't have printed Omniscience into Standard because that
Or
card
Zombify.
violates the rules of Magic. I don't know. I think Zombify is more fair.
I think Zombify is more fair, but like, do we want to be in a forever Zombify meta? We'll find out if it is a problem like we predicted is. Do we want to be in a forever Omniscience meta where that's always a thing? Like, that's it should be a period of time. I think this, widely speaking, I know I'm a groan here, but two things I really don't like about Standard right now is it's freaking ginormous. I was trying to brew today, and I was scrolling through all the red cards that I want to make for my big red deck.
Exhausting.
I was like, holy shit, there's a million cards. It just made me want a net deck, honestly. I was like, God, geez, what am I going to do with all this? And the other one is this never-ending platoon of cards that are just here forever. And it's like, are we playing Standard or are we playing Pioneer? Like, what's going on with this? That's a bit of a moan, but we're about to have rotation, so that should mollify things to
Clear
some
some
degree.
shit out in the closet.
Yeah.
Little edge of eternity's clearing. But anyway, that's all we got to say about bans. Hope you guys like the video.
happy.
Let us know. What do you guys think? Is there a card that I would guess that you watching this don't have another card that you think they should have banned?
What would you ban? You have to ban one more card.
One more card?
You can
Omni.
ban exactly one more card.
Omni. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd ban Omniscience. But what would you guys ban? You can't use Omni.
I'd ban
I already used it.
Zombify. No,
You'd
I'd
ban Zombify?
I'm putting it down now. I think it's gonna be a real problem.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. If you're playing Swamps, watch out, everybody. Get those Ghost Vacuums clocked and ready because I think Mark is correct. And in my Cactus deck, there are 12 ways to reanimate something for 4 mana. If
Poor
the
Ramp.
other technically
Poor sad.
one of them is
Ramp.
5 because it's Valgavoth's Faithful, but you play it earlier, and then the Broodheart Engine. But
Do you remember
either
Ramp,
way,
Kyle, where people like sacrifice the early game to build up mana to play the big bombs in the latter part of the game? Chumps, fucking chumps.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
nah.
Nah.
All right,
Mulligan
guys.
until you get that Zombify.
Yeah. Oh, Zombify is my preferred way, but it is really nice when they're holding up counter magic, and then I just activate the Broodheart Engine. They're like, oh shit.
Oh, shit.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's some of that.
Let us know what you guys think. Thanks for checking out this video. We're going to have more Standard videos coming up. We are in the season. This is probably the most excited. I was talking to you. This is the most excited we've been about Standard in
We got multiple decks queued
Months.
up, ready to test. And do
Months
it.
and
Yeah.
months.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
we're excited not to have to just cut mono red games that we win and lose because we don't want to show you 8 mono red games or whatever. But anyway, hope you guys like the channel. If you made it this far and listened to all our ramblings and you're like, hey, these guys are all right, just give them a little subscribe.
Why is there two of them? The fuck's
Yeah,
up with
why
that,
is
you
there
might
2?
ask
Is that the
yourself.
same guy with a beard?
Is that the same guy?
I've been trying to dismount this video.
I'm too happy.
Yeah.
I'm too happy. All right, like the video. Bye, everybody.
Oh, no, he gets to do it.